If your new driver promised 10 more yards and your average tee shot is still landing in the same place, the problem may not be your swing. It may be the kind of distance you bought. That is a harder thing to accept than a bad round. You did the research. You watched the videos. You saw the numbers on the launch monitor at the shop. One ball flew faster, launched higher, and the salesperson said something about ball speed and low spin and revolutionary face technology. You spent the money. You believed the promise. And then you got to the course. A few drives came out well, but your average did not change. Some shots came off low and died early. Others ballooned and fell short of where your old driver used to land. Your dispersion got wider. You started aiming more toward the middle and hoping. That is not what distance is supposed to feel like. Here is what almost nobody tells you before you swipe the card. Most drivers do not fail because they are bad clubs. They fail because they were bought to solve the wrong problem. The driver that looked long on a simulator with a perfect strike may be leaking yards every time your attack angle is a little steep, your strike drifts low on the face, or your tempo runs fast through transition. None of that shows up in the marketing. What actually determines your distance on the course is not what the driver does on your best swing. It is what it does on your average miss, launch angle, spin window, forgiveness across the face, shaft weight and profile matching your transition, playable dispersion that keeps the ball in a position you can score from. Those are the real variables. And most of them are invisible when you are standing in a golf shop watching a ball flight number on a screen. This video is going to break down 7 drivers that promise distance, but may be costing you yards depending on your swing, and 5 drivers that have a real case for adding distance, because they solve problems that actually exist in your game. If this is the kind of content you want more of, subscribe now. Every video on this channel is built around one idea: performance fit beats brand reputation every time. Let's start with the list that is going to be uncomfortable for some of you. Number 7. The low spin tour driver bought by a golfer who does not actually create too much spin. Low spin heads have a real place in the game. For a player with a fast swing, a shallow attack angle, and dynamic loft that runs high through impact, reducing spin can genuinely add carry and roll. But that is a specific profile. It is not the average amateur standing on the first tee hoping for more distance. When a player with a steep attack, a low launch, or a tendency to strike the bottom of the face buys a low spin driver, the ball does not fly faster. It flies lower, loses lift earlier, and falls out of the sky before it finishes its job. The Titleist GTS4, for example, is described by Titleist itself as its most aggressive spin reduction driver, built for a penetrating flight and maximum spin control. That is a serious tool for a specific swing. In the wrong hands, it teaches your drives how to fall out of the sky faster. Number 6. The draw bias driver bought as a cure for a slice. This one sells because the logic feels sound. You curve the ball right, the driver curves it left. Problem solved. But draw bias works on ball flight, not on swing mechanics. If your face is open at impact and your path is moving out to in, a draw-biased head might soften the curve for a few rounds. It will not close your face. It will not close your face. The moment you get comfortable and stop compensating, the slice comes back. A draw-biased driver can help a pattern. It cannot teach your club face to stop arriving late to the ball. Number 5. The ultralight driver bought by a player who actually needs stability. Lighter can mean faster, and faster can mean more distance. That logic is real for certain players. If your swing speed is genuinely limited and your tempo is smooth, a lighter driver may help you generate more clubhead speed without sacrificing control. But for players with an aggressive transition, an early release, or a tendency to lose the face through the hitting zone, lighter often means less feedback, less stability, and more dispersion. You did not buy speed. You bought chaos with a head cover. Number 4. The adjustable weight driver bought by a golfer who never gets fit. Adjustability is a genuine performance tool when used with data. On a launch monitor, with a fitter who understands your strike pattern, your spin numbers, and your shaft interaction, moving weights and changing loft settings can make a measurable difference. The tailor-made Ki 35, for instance, uses movable weights and a 4-degree loft sleeve specifically to allow distance, flight, and face angle to be dialed in. That is valuable. But without a fitting, those same weights become a guessing game. You move the weight back because you read it adds draw. Your miss is still a heel strike. The problem was never the weight. Number 3. The tour-validated driver bought because a professional plays it. Tour validation is real information. It tells you the driver can perform at the highest level of the game. What it does not tell you is whether it will perform for your game. Tour players have fitting sessions, shaft options, and ball flight windows that bear almost no resemblance to what a 15 handicap brings to the first tee on a Saturday morning. When a tour player hits the heel, they still compress the ball. When you hit the heel, the face twists, the ball speed drops, and the shot leaks right. The same driver, completely different result. Tour validation tells you the driver can work. It does not tell you it will work for your miss. Number 2. The previous year clearance driver bought only because it was cheaper. Buying a generational driver can be a genuinely smart move. The technology gap between a 2-year-old flagship and the current model is often smaller than the price difference suggests. But the only thing that makes a discounted driver smart is whether it fits. A low-spin head with 40% off is still the wrong driver if you needed launch and forgiveness. The tailor-made Kiwi 35 has already appeared at reduced pricing from its original retail point, which is exactly how the premium driver cycle works. The discount is real. The fit question is still yours to answer. A bad fit at half price is still an expensive way to hit the wrong shot. And number 1, any $600 driver bought before a $100 fitting. This is the one that costs golfers the most distance, and it is not a specific brand or model. It is a sequence. The fitting happens after the purchase, or it does not happen at all. You walk into a shop, hold a few heads, hit a few balls, see one number you like, and make a decision based on incomplete information. Callaway markets the Elite with a promise of up to 8 yards more distance and improved forgiveness. That promise is real for the right player in the right configuration. But which loft? Which shaft weight? Which flex profile? Which strike pattern does it protect best? None of that gets answered by watching a ball flight on a retail simulator for 6 minutes. The USGA limits driver clubhead volume to 460 cc and moment of inertia to 500-900 gram-centimeters squared. The rules are the same for every brand. No company can engineer infinite distance into a head. The gains available in any given year are incremental, which means the biggest performance gap in your bag is almost never between your current driver and the newest model. It is between the driver you have and the driver that was actually built for how you swing. If you have hit yourself in this list, drop a comment below. Like this video if it is making you think differently about your next equipment decision. And if you know someone who just bought a driver that is not giving them what they expected, share this with them. Now let's talk about what actually adds yards. Number 5. The Cobra DS Adapt Max K. This one earns its place not because it wins a ball speed competition, but because it protects your miss better than most drivers at its price point. Cobra has dropped the DS Adapt Max K to around $300 from its original retail, and what you get at that price is a high Meiwai head with significant adjustability and a forgiveness profile built for players who do not strike the center on every swing, which is most golfers on most days. The trade-off is real. If you are a better player who wants to work the ball or flight it lower under pressure, this head is not built for that. It is built for the player who wants to swing without negotiating. For that profile, Cobra does not add yards by making your perfect swing magical. It adds yards by keeping your imperfect swing alive. Number 4. The Tour Edge Exotics E725. Tour Edge does not have the marketing budget of the major brands, which means a lot of golfers never seriously consider it. That is a mistake. MyGolfSpy tested the Exotics E725 and ranked it as the most accurate driver of 2025, leading in both playable shot and straight shot percentages. That matters more than most golfers realize. Here is the argument. A drive of 235 yards in the fairway is longer than a drive of 260 yards in the rough when you factor in the next shot. Playable distance is real distance. The E725 is built around that principle. It is not the longest driver in a robot test. It is the driver that keeps more of your shots in a position you can score from. Distance only counts if the next shot still belongs to you. The Tour Edge Exotics Max, the higher forgiveness version, runs around $500 and adds even more mission protection for players who want that coverage. Number 3. The PIN GV440 Max. PIN describes the G440 Max as the most forgiving driver in the G440 family, with a hotter face, a lighter overall system, higher launch, and longer carries. That is a specific promise, and it holds up for a specific reason. PIN designs for consistency across the face, not just peak performance at the center. For the golfer who loses meaningful distance on heel and toe strikes, the G440 Max can add yards without adding any complexity to the game. There are no settings to learn, no weights to move, no decisions to second guess on the tee. The G440K, the newer addition to the family, brings a 32-gram adjustable back weight and adds another layer of stability for players who want even more resistance to twisting on off-center hits. Ping adds yards by respecting the swing you actually bring to the course, not the one you only make on the range. Number 2. The Titleist GT2 or GTS2. Titleist positions the GTS2 as a driver built for power and consistency across the face, combining ball speed with stability. That is a different promise than the GTS4 that opened this list. Where the GTS4 reduces spin aggressively for a narrow profile, the GT2 and GTS2 target players who want distance without giving up playability. MyGolfSpy's 2025 driver testing named the Titleist GT2 the leader in carry and total distance. That result came from a driver built for speed and forgiveness together, not from a low-spin head dialed for tour ball flight. For the golfer who wants a Titleist and wants real distance numbers without turning the tee box into a physics experiment, the GT2 and GTS2 are the models that actually deliver. And number 1, the correctly fitted driver. This is the answer some of you did not want. You came here for a model name. But the driver that adds the most yards to your game is not a brand. It is a process. When a fitter puts you on a launch monitor with real data, the variables that actually matter become visible. Your attack angle, your dynamic loft, where you are striking the face, what your spin numbers look like across a sample of real swings, what shaft weight and flex profile match your transition, what launch window you need to carry the ball to your full potential. None of that information exists until you measure it, and without it, every driver purchase is a guess. The driver that adds yards puts you in the right launch window, protects your miss, pairs you with a shaft that stabilizes your face through impact, and gives you the confidence to swing without steering. That driver exists. It might be a Ping, it might be a Titleist, it might be a Cobra or a Tour Edge. The brand is not the variable. The fit is. Subscribe and turn on notifications for more content built around that idea. Share this with the golfer who is about to spend money on a driver without a fitting. The longest driver in your bag is the one you were fit into after the numbers proved it, not the one with the loudest distance claim on the box.